ahead and get started. Are there any changes to the agenda? We have one person that would like to speak under unfinished business, but with that modification, I would propose that the agenda be approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Oh. Okay, if y'all have no objection, what we can do is move this unfinished business up because this gentleman's got a 10 o'clock appointment. So if it works for you, we'll just go ahead and get you right off the bat.
Thank you. Where do you want me to speak?
There.
As you probably all remember, you appointed me to the Highland Rivers Behavioral Health Board 3 years ago, and then reappointed me 2 years ago for a 3-year term.
So that we can get you on the recording, you need to state your name, please.
Leland Johnson.
Okay.
And we've had such a big year that I felt like I had to come and share briefly what all has happened. We are now, with the addition of Cobb County to our family and finishing Harrelson County as part of our family, we now have 13 counties. We serve roughly 2 million people. We, as you may have seen, were the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities Provider of the Year this last year. We have been very busy working on Narcan training with Family Connections, Morehouse School of Medicine, and Highland Rivers. We also have changed our name, our logo, because of the incorporation of almost 1 million people from Cobb County. We had to. We didn't have much choice, but it's still Highland Rivers Behavioral Health. And I'm going to give you each, because it is Mental Health Month, a folder that outlines all the services in our 13 counties. We are, for the first time in probably 20 years, in good financial shape. We have not been in good financial shape that we are now. I will also like to say, outside of giving you a little quick update, that this is Mental Health Month. If you have grandchildren like me or children, it's a real serious time for substance abuse, depression in our children. We all need to be very vigilant. I can't stress that enough. The final thing I'd like to say is just thank you for the opportunity, and now I'm chair of the board. Last year I was vice chair. You've given Gilmer County a lot of ability to lead in the behavioral health world. And I just want to say thank you. I also want to say thank you for our bridges out Rock Creek Road area. And thank you.
Thank you, Lee.
And I'll leave these for the sheriff. Thank you.
Okay, first.
Sandy.
First item under discussion items will be update from Gilmer County Food Pantry. Alan Trevor.
Good morning. I am here to make a request to put what we call a little food pantry on county property. I have some documents that I'd like to pass to you so you can see what I'm referring to. The first one is a review of the program that started in 2016. There are approximately 2,300 of them in the United States currently. Second one is a question and answer concerning liability, the purpose of them, and I'd like to pass that. I also brought with me an example of a free pantry in Roswell, Georgia, and a photograph of one that's in this county on a business residence, and one of example of what one looks like. This is the one from Roswell, and this is the one from a local business in town that has a mobile one and slides it in and out off the property at the end of the day. I'll hold this one up to show what I'm referring to. A little food pantry is like a box on a pole. You've seen scattered throughout the county, drop a book, leave a book. This is drop food off, pick up food. Again, they are a national organization. They started in Arkansas, and they're across the world, and there's a little over 2,300 of them here. What I propose is to put up one at a location that people can get to fairly easily. And after some review of the county area, I thought the best place would be at the public health station across from the helicopter pad. I have already built, or had one of my volunteers build this one. He has a terrible cell phone, so the picture didn't come out well. And again, it's approximately the size of the leave a book, drop a book. We would put food into it that is shelf stable, that wouldn't attract animals, such things as canned soup, macaroni and cheese in a box, things like that. It would be open, it wouldn't be locked, it'd be there available 24 hours a day. The fact that somebody took everything out of it wouldn't affect the fact that it's there, meaning if somebody steals from it, I'm not worried about that. I will supply, or the pantry will supply all the food. As soon as it's empty, we'll fill it up again. I have food in surplus that I could put in one of these, and I was hoping if we had one, it would spread as an idea and be scattered over the county. There is an act called the Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Food Donation Act that provides liability protection for anyone that is, say they cut their hands on the wood on the box and gets a splinter, where the food isn't, they claim, say that the food made them sick. This Good Samaritan Act protects the facility, meaning the little food bank or little food pantry from those type of allegations. Again, the reason I want it is because the food pantry is only open one day a week from 9, that's where I'm supposed to be today, by the way, 9 to 12:45. And we are down, not up because of the pandemic and the number of people seeing us. And the common answer I get is, I can't get to you. It's working poor can't get there because they're working on Wednesdays, or the people without vehicles can't get to us. And I do have a backup plan if the county won't approve that location or any location. I would put it on a church property. I have a church that's willing to do it, but it's not where people will normally pass that need the facility. Any questions?
Well, I have two questions, really, for the county attorney. First one being, is this something that we can do?
It is, and if you'll recall the area that he's speaking of, there was a sign that was done.
I remember that,
So
yeah.
Just need to be, we'd have to look it over and make sure we detail it. But yes, it can.
And the second question is this something that we can approve today, or do we have to put it on a future agenda?
You can approve the decision, however, I would recommend it to be in a contractual agreement between the two entities, and that's something that would need subsequent approval by the board.
Okay. Anybody else with questions?
I'd like to read that before I approve something, which would be a small good.
Yeah.
I will also scan that and email it to everybody.
Yeah, now it's, we need to be on a published agenda, that's one other item.
Yes.
Well, and that was the second question, was whether or not we could do it now, or we need to put it on another agenda.
You can approve the concept, but then we put the agreement on the agenda, which we formalize, if that's what you want. Or you could just instruct me to go ahead and start with the formalization of an agreement, and then y'all just place it on.
We can approve the contract and the concept at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, Karleen, see, can we hear you?
Okay. Unfortunately, I am only hearing half the conversations happening. So this is not working out as I would have liked, but I have had a conversation with Alan about this in the past, so I'm familiar with what he's talking about. He had initially thought about having it down at River Park, and I was not in favor of that, of course, due to all kinds of issues that could bring, but I did suggest a possibility of by the health department, if the county were to want to get involved in this program. I also, Alan, have not mentioned this to you, but and you probably have already gone there, but it might be a good spot for the high school, especially during the summer months coming up. So you may want to speak to the new principal or superintendent about a possible location there.
We have
I
a
do.
pantry at the high school, that's why.
I'm sorry?
They already have a pantry that we supply at the high school.
They already have a pantry that they supply at the high school.
They do, but the outside box, because I know that the time on the pantry there was an issue for some of the kids in sports and extra activities. So I just thought maybe over the summer it would be beneficial, but Alan can work that out. I don't need to go there with the high school. But the fact that the food pantry was manning it and there was the liability insurance, or that was covered, those were some of my concerns with it. And I would love to see our faith-based communities, churches, get involved. I spoke to several at Faith, Hope, and Charity, and there is definitely the need rising for as more and more people are being kicked out of their homes, and this rise of families and anyway, in need of this kind of food and support. And I know with the pantry only being open one day, I can see the benefit of it. But anyway, I'm just stating I do think there could be a need for this, and that I appreciate Alan thinking of it. And that was just my suggestion of possibly by the health department.
Okay. Thank you, Karleen. Anything else? Okay, what I would say then is that tomorrow night we will decide whether or not to ask David to go ahead and start on this. Either way, it will be on the agenda for our next meeting, because we can't add it, it's too late to add it to the agenda for this meeting. And we can either approve or not approve at that point, if that works.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Alan.
Kevin, Parks and Recreation. You know, we need to put this next to a speaker rather than the next person we're talking to, but I don't see it. I guess they're in the season. I guess those are the speakers there. Yeah. Talk loud, kid.
Okay, I'll talk loud as I can. I forgot to mention when baseball season started that Mr. Clark come out of retirement for coaching. He actually coached one of my sons growing up in Purdy back in the late 90s.
Many years.
Yeah, so he's come out of retirement. He's out there coaching now, so he's doing a fabulous job.
All right.
Speaking of that, baseball, softball season will be wrapping up at the end of the month. We'll have our year-end tournament, and we are hosting the 10-year-old baseball and the Mountain Athletic Association All-Star Tournament. So that'll be held at their Creek Park. And we still have the two big tournaments that's coming up, the RBI and the Top Fly Softball. So that'll be taking place in June. This weekend, we're scheduled to put our lift station in. So Mr. Beasley's going to be out there, his crew be putting it in, and we're going to start on it Friday and then try to wrap it up by Sunday. That way there won't be no games canceled.
What are you going to be doing? I couldn't understand that.
The lift station.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're going to start on that Friday morning and get the pump all set, and then hopefully have it tied in by Sunday evening. So the pickleball tennis court lights are up. Power hasn't been turned on yet. We're waiting on Georgia Power, so as soon as they take care of that, then we'll have lights. And also this year, we will be hosting the Super Bowl for the Mountain Athletic Conference for football. It's our year to do the rotation, so I think the second week in November, everybody that's made it through the playoffs and to the Super Bowl, it all take place at the Huck Mosley Stadium. So it'll be a pretty big event. That's all I got.
Did you ever get your ball fields at Clear Creek graded or whatever you needed to do, filled in? Or?
We're still waiting on the FEMA money. Is what we're waiting on. Have we seen any of that yet? Yeah, because that was the FEMA project is what that was, and we're waiting on them. It was supposed to be around $60,000 that they allocated. Yeah.
Is that reimbursable?
Well, I mean, it's just what we're getting for storm damage.
What I mean is,
Whether it's reimbursable or not, we could still go ahead and upfront it and just,
Yeah,
I mean, it's up to us, I would imagine.
Well, the only thing with that, everything taking place with the baseball season now, if we'd got that money back earlier in the year, then we could have got everything laser graded. But we're at a point now to where we've got the fields in the best shape that we can, and we're just going to have to play through it. And then after the season, take that money, because we could never pull it off with these two big tournaments coming up. And I've met with both directors, and they're okay with the way the fields are now. So.
You'll get that done, and then.
Well, if we need to wait till the season's over, though, it may be here by then anyway. But if it's not, we can go ahead and do it. Yeah. So basically, pick the good time for it.
Yeah, the best thing would be probably right after the season. That way, the guys that come in that are doing it, they won't be rushed, and they can do it right.
Okay.
very good.
Thank you, Kevin. White Bass Golf Course, Mike.
Good morning. As I mentioned, this Z-out is year to date, so I wish that was 1 month. We would, you guys would be very happy. So, as you can see, we've done over 5,000 rounds. Keep in mind that January was was a complete washout. We really did nothing in January. So everything you see there is up, and therefore the revenue's up as well. We are way ahead of what we did last year at this time, so that's great. The new carts should be in here maybe in a month. They're really good at staying in contact with me. He's called me every week, week and a half, keeping me updated, and those can't get here quick enough. So I've got people riding everywhere where they shouldn't be. So the other two pieces of equipment that we got approved in the budget, one of them should be here in a week, and the other one is going to be iffy. It's going to be probably a little later, which I don't need it right now anyway. That's the top dresser. As far as the course is in good shape. The water system is up. Obviously, we've had the water running perfect. We redid this a couple years ago or so, and it's perfect. So the guys, what we're doing now is just mowing. It's weekly mowing. We have to get everything done Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Friday is a day where they're going to go out and work, go lunch and go home. There's just too much golf out there to get anything done. So it's a good problem to have, but it's tough at times. So, but they get it done. They do a good job. Other than that, everything. I hope you guys are hearing positive stuff because that's all I hear. My advisory board, we met yesterday, and they're happy. So everything's positive and running good.
I would say that for a number of years now, I've heard nothing but positive. I haven't gotten one single complaint about the golf course. Everything has been not just positive, but extremely positive. So
that's what we want. That's what we strive for.
Thank you.
One other comment too that I want to make. And I'm not going to make a flat statement. I'm just going to throw out a possibility. We may, in 22, actually turn just a little bit of a profit at the golf course. Every year since the county took it over, we've gotten closer and closer and closer to break even, and we basically, we were close enough that we could probably claim break even last year. And that's pretty amazing when you consider that we had to buy all new equipment and all the things and all the expenditures that we've had to go through getting the course where it is now. And Mike has been phenomenal with that. I'm not sure anybody else could have done it but him. So good job on that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Very good.
Public Works, Jim.
Good morning, Commissioners. I probably need to take some lessons from Mike because all of his is positive and mine's negative because I know you get complaints from us. But we do the best that we can do with what we have to do with it. The first thing that I want to say, if I didn't say it last month, we have finally closed all of our federal disasters. Now, and ours, I don't know about Kevin, but ours is all reimbursable. We had 3 federal disasters open, and they are now closed. And Sandy, I hope she will let you know and us know when we get the money. But we're expecting somewhere in the neighborhood of $500,000 from those 3 disasters. The other thing that I want to mention to you is, Charlie, I have heard nothing on the Vanilla Lane Road. Have you?
No, since we both heard before on it, no. And that was simply that they had finished acquiring all of the necessary easements.
Right away?
Yeah.
Okay. On the Lower Cartacate Bridge, I checked, and that schedule that I think I reported last month, They will be doing in July a final field inspection. They have acquired all of the right-of-way that is necessary. The field inspection will actually involve the contracted engineer and the DOT engineers to walk through the project, see everything on the ground, and most likely the August bid letting, DOT will be when the bids are advertised for a construction to begin in December of this year. The estimated time for completion of that project is 18 months. While we're talking about bridges, one of the things that I know it was in the newspaper, and one of the things that we are working on is with the help of Mr. Lloyd Jarrett. He is our resident expert on bridges and culverts and things of that nature. And I think that pretty well we've made the decision that the 2 Rock Creek Road bridges would be replaced with precast box culverts instead of bridges, and the old bridges would be demolished and taken out. One of the problems that we have, not only funding problem, and Commissioner Parrish can talk to that, but one of the other problems that we will have is trying to keep traffic open while the work is being done. Now, for the 2 Rock Creek bridges, my recommendation to Commissioner Parrish is that we contract that out, that we buy the materials. Lloyd has assisted in locating a company that will do the prefabrication or precasting of the box culverts. That date for delivery is not until September, but that's the best that you can do anywhere right now. The other bridges or culverts, the one on White Path or Boardtown Road at the intersection of White Path, Mr. Jarrett thinks that we can force account and take care of that one and the 2 culverts that we have on Old Highway 57. Any questions about the bridges? Charlie, have you got anything?
I would just simply say that in terms of the funding, and I think we've discussed it before, that but Jim and Lloyd and I had a conversation yesterday about it, that what we foresee is that it would come from the $1.5 million that we've set back for roads and bridges.
We're really going to talk about the funding source that I recall.
Well, I'm open to any funding on it, but the bridges have got to be fixed.
On the keeping the traffic flowing, how are you going to do that?
What, and again, what we would do is we would keep the existing bridge open. We would install, and Lloyd, you correct me if I'm wrong, okay? We would install the box culverts either on the north side or the south side. We would have that ready, and then we would turn the traffic onto the new box culverts.
And you've got the right of way to do that?
No, we still have the right of way that we would have to acquire.
So that's going to be a holdup for us.
Well, one of the things that, and we talked about this yesterday, There may be issues with right-of-way acquisition, but you always have the power of eminent domain.
Well, what I'm thinking is, should we be taking action now? Because I don't want that to be a holdup.
No, absolutely.
No, what we're doing now is trying to bring all of the pieces, Hubert, together. We don't know how much right-of-way we actually will need. We know what the structure length is, and that's 32 feet.
Let me expand on that just a little bit though, because what we were talking about yesterday is that since we can't get the box culverts until September, that essentially that gives us between now and September to get those rights of way. So in terms of starting it now, my feeling is yes, but now by starting it, maybe that means getting the information that Jim's discussing here now. But I don't see us waiting until, July to start this process when the culverts will be here in September. I think our objective is that by the time we get those in, that we have everything we need to just put them in place and get started.
Yeah, if the timetable, and we'll give you a timetable.
The only thing I'm trying to do is not hold the project up.
I understand.
If you have to condemn, it takes a little time.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying we should have been doing this a month ago, probably.
I do have a question. Is the existing bridge going to be left there like it was on the Kell Bridge?
I hope not.
No.
And what Roy's recommendation and my recommendation is that once we get the new culverts in, those bridges be demolished. I don't want another.
If you have a property owner on both sides of the bridge in that particular location, the carrot there will be is that you can abandon the right of way for the previous existing bridge. I don't know who the property owners out there are, but sometimes that is the occasion where they own both sides of the creek.
And that will be the case on at least one of them, but on the other one, the creek is the boundary. But I'm simply reporting to you today to tell you that we're starting the process. And we'll give you, and the chairman, I think you decided yesterday that we were going to meet again on the 23rd of May to give you an update. So we'll have more of these loose ends tied together by that time.
Between now and when we're satisfied that the bridges are in good shape, we will be meeting every couple of weeks on a regular basis.
Regarding the funding, let me sidetrack here a minute. When do we expect the audit report, Sandy? To me, that's way past due.
Well, they're working on
But they do work for us.
it. They do.
So, I mean, I don't
It
understand
is
the
in the
delay,
final, my understanding is it's in the final stages.
which is what we heard last month. So I think we need to push them a little bit. But funding, I think we'll know more once we get the audit report too. So I'm fine just to go ahead with what you're doing and we'll set it.
Okay.
But I put some heat on
And your funding is not something, the source of it is not something we have to decide this month. But what we do have to agree on though is to go ahead and place the order so
Sure.
that we can get them in September.
and I'm all for that.
Okay. Okay. So that's all on the bridges, Jim?
That's all on the bridges. Let me tell you where we are on our LMIG paving. We are finishing up. We have we paved Pleasant Valley, 4 miles of road there. Old Pleasant Valley, John Call. These were carry forwards from previous years. And we should finish that if we don't have any more problems with our new chip spreader. We have had issues for about 8 weeks running with that piece of machinery. They were back yesterday with factory representatives, and we are going to be operating again tomorrow, and they are going to have people on site observing the machine. But that has caused some delays. Once we finish that, then we will start in earnest on 2022 LMIG, of which you have already received the money. That's where we are on the surface treatment paving. We're still developing specifications and the number of roads that we will actually be hot mix paving, and should have that ready to go toward the end of this month.
Let me ask you a question on that.
Yeah.
We did a hurry up in February and approved the roads to be paved so that we could get the bids out before everybody else got theirs out. What's happened?
Well, here we just don't have time to get everything done. That is the only excuse that I can give. We're trying to get it done as fast as we can. The other thing that I wanted to tell you is the $1.5 million that we have in capital outlay right now. If depending on how much of that will go now to bridges, then that will probably cause revisions to that list of roads that we're going to be hot mix paving. The other thing, Hubert, is that we have run into issues on some of the roads that we have targeted for hot mix paving with other work, namely Georgia Power and Amicalola. We had that problem with Round Top and Mount Pisgah, and I don't want that problem again because it creates issues for the paving contractor and them being able to do their work. So,
I think you had more to say on the timing, though, didn't you?
I don't mean to belabor the point, but you got a boilerplate for bidding the roads. So I don't understand why it's taken so long.
well, Hubert, there is work, the boilerplate, the formula that we have, every road is not the same. So it isn't a boilerplate because you have measurements and you have, each road is unique in its own character. So.
I don't want to belabor the point, but it's just unacceptable. See, we went to great lengths to hurry it up, and here we are. That's all.
Okay. The other thing that I wanted to report to you on that I discussed last month is that our stone supplier, namely Vulcan Materials, has agreed to hold the price that they submitted in January through December. And beyond that, there are no promises. But we did get that accomplished. So our pricing and everything that we have will stay in place until that time. And the indication is that they, with everything that's going on, they will not commit to a year long price on materials next year. But this year, we're good.
Good.
All right. In our spare time, you have in front of you the report on the flood control dams. Now, we started in March. We have all 20 of the flood control dams mowed. We are now going back and pulling debris that accumulated over 3 years in the emergency spillways and things of that nature. But as you see there, in 3 months, we've spent $31,000 plus on maintenance on the flood control dams. And again, Lloyd, I think is ready now to go out and inspect the 20 dams. Right, Lloyd? Any questions?
We will get a $16,000 reimbursement.
16,000, we have 16,000 budgeted as revenue. I still, Charlie, don't know the methodology as to how we get that 16,000.
Well, we're gonna have to present an invoice to them once it's complete.
Okay, all right. We have 16,000 as revenue and 16,000
Right.
as expense, but you can see it's already gone over that 16,000.
Right, yeah.
But it's money well spent to protect those dams, though.
It's essential.
Listen, it's a pain for us, but without those 20 flood control dams, I mean, you're in the North Georgia mountains, and stormwater management and water management is the biggest issue that this county has facing it. But yeah, without those, I would hate to think what they would be. They're badly needed. Any other questions about roads? Okay, let me move to solid waste. Solid waste, I hope you have the monthly report on our volumes. The volumes continue to grow. One of the things that I want to report to you is that this month, if you'll recall, in the bid specs for our vendor services, we added a compactor unit at the landfill. And the reason being is that some years back, one of our compactors that was for household garbage was redesignated for recycled material. And that happened at the landfill, it happened at Cartier, and it happened at Coosawattee. The reason for the additional compactor is that saves us in the number of pulls that the vendor has to make on that one compactor for household garbage. So that additional compactor will be going into service this month. And in addition to that, a new building, attendant building for the convenience center, which was just delivered yesterday, and we're now in the process of wiring and getting that ready for the attendant. And once that's finished, then we will get the electrical power and everything to the new pad and new compact. And again, Waste Pro is doing a good job for us, comparatively speaking, as to what we have. We don't have any complaints there. The lift station project. I think Charlie received notification yesterday that the ARPA funds had been approved. That was the email that you sent out.
Run this by me again.
You don't remember? I received an email from you based on notification that you had received from the state that the budget and everything that Sandy had submitted had been approved.
Okay, yeah.
So now those funds are designated, and I have a question.
You're talking about the grant though, the supplemental grant.
Yes.
When you said ARPA funds, I thought you were talking about the.
Oh, no,
But
I'm
yes.
talking about the
We're
state.
on track now.
Okay. Now, for the county attorney, by the way, David, I like your hair.
Thank you.
One of the things that we still have a question about, now that the funds are approved, we have a contractor for the lift station project inside the landfill. The supplemental grant for $286,000 is designated for the sewer line that runs from the landfill site to the city sewer. What we are hoping that we would be able to do is to do a contractual addendum. We couldn't do it. We built it into the contract, but to do a contractual addendum to let the contractor, the selected contractor, when they finish the work inside the landfill, to continue with that work.
I have to look at that, Jim. That's a pretty significant change order, and it sounds like it's outside the scope of the project.
It was not in the scope that was bid.
Yeah, and you're using terminology inside and outside and it's site-specific locations, so that may not be easily accomplished through a change order itself.
Then for the commissioners' benefit, if that's the case, then what we will have to do is we will have to bid just that section of the project, and we'll have to present it to you with the engineering plans are already done, but we will have to bid that and award a contract to whomever.
Is that something that could be done by the Water and Sewer Authority with
I'm thinking that too.
Yeah.
That could be done by them?
Yeah, I mean, the county, of course, would pay for it, but I'm just thinking that the project itself could be, because it would be an intergovernmental contract, and they would be able to utilize their labor force to do that. That's, but again, that's something we can explore. Right now, if you need the first stage of that proposed project completed, and then we'll look at it. But let's not wait until that first stage is complete.
No, that's the reason I'm bringing it up now.
Let me get an answer for you. I won't have it by tomorrow night, but then we'll talk about it and then decide perhaps what may be the best direction for the county to go in on that. But all of that is as to the sewer and water authority's existing line, correct?
The sewer line belongs to the county. We empty into a manhole that is some half a mile away, quarter of a mile at least. But the sewer line that we would be replacing, David, is not theirs, it's ours.
I think the sewer authority, water and sewer authority said they would take over operation, be responsible for operation of it if it was installed, after it was installed. Did we have that conversation?
They haven't said that to me.
Okay.
I mean, you may have inside information. If they are willing to take over the maintenance and operation because it's a force main.
We'll explore.
I haven't even discussed that with them.
Well, if we can have them do it and they're able to do it, that would certainly be my preference. Because we've always had really good results when
We installed it originally. We reinstalled it. We've maintained it. This goes all the way back to 2005.
But Jim, that's probably the only segment of the sewer line within the entire county that the county itself maintains and accepts responsibility for. And that just doesn't, I mean, it really should be in the responsibility and under the control of the sewer and water authority. Coming off the landfill, that would be my thought. I mean, I can't see why the county would be in the business for, well, how many feet is that probably?
It's probably a quarter of a mile at least.
So, look, we'll talk with them and see, we'll talk with Gary and I mean, they certainly don't want us to give them a jalopy of a line, but if we can get the money together and give it to them and then they can make it into a line that is acceptable to them, it may be better served to be under their responsibility.
Hey, I'm all for that.
Yeah, and that way you can focus on your operations within the boundaries of that plant site up there, landfill. So we'll talk, okay?
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. Update on the swimming pool, Stephen.
Good morning, Chairman, Charlie, Hubert, Karleen, and David. Is that loud enough? To use a baseball term, it looks like we're coming into third base. I spoke with Jeff, the chief engineer at the facility out in Texas that's doing all the drafting and work for us. And they have completed the piping drafting work. They right now have sent out the electrical requirements to the electrical engineers to be able to bring everything together as far as the pumps and all the requirements going into the equipment room. Those people will calculate the requirements for the electrical supply, which requirements which I think we have already there on the side. We don't need to be doing any changes there. The next step that they're working on now is they're waiting for the bore, geode bores that were done about 3 or 4 weeks ago. They're waiting for the analysis on those. The surveyors have been out. They've surveyed the pool for the actual location of the pool. I wouldn't think it would be moved, but it seems like what he said, it could move a wall or move something when they're changing this around for the deep end and the shallow end. That had to be surveyed. And they're working with the actual structural engineers as far as putting the pools together, putting the pool structure together, and the equipment room. I'm using my time with the drawings to familiarize myself with all the requirements, components that's going to be used in the pool, so that I can, while I'm watching this whole project, I would know everything from the use of the shotcrete, which is the concrete to put into the walls, all the way to the day that we put the water in. So I know exactly what's going on and no surprises. That's where we are.
Okay, so, best estimate on when we could put this out to bid?
In May.
Okay, so we can have it on the,
We're hoping to have everything that they've got to do out there finished by the end of May, so we can.
so if we do that, y'all okay with a special call meeting, go ahead and get that
Sure,
bid out?
sure.
Okay.
What about the soil samples? That all work okay?
Those are the geo reports where they did the bore. Those are in process now, and as soon as they finish those go to Texas. Tell them exactly what we have as far as soil.
So they're doing the analysis now then, right?
Yeah, they're completing. Those analyses don't complete in 1 week. Some of those analysis take several weeks to process before they get an answer about the compaction soil and the process they need for the
Right.
soil.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Stephen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, anybody have any discussion items, new business? No, we'll go to the action items. We have several rezoning requests. First one is John Hemrick, A1 agricultural to R1 residential low density. This is to combine with adjacent parcel for conservation. Any concerns about that?
No, 1 through 6 I'm okay with as approving.
Okay. And let's see. Okay, 1 through 6 I'm okay with. Karleen, see if she can hear.
Karleen? Sorry, I couldn't hear anything. I heard everything after Stephen. But I think you're Karleen.
You okay with 1 through 6 on rezoning?
No, thank you, Hubert. Yes, I am.
Okay, hold on a minute.
I actually approve everything that the planning commission said.
Okay. Get you out of here. All right, so that would be everything basically except number 7.
And 7, it comes with a denial, and I agree with that.
Okay. And I would agree with that.
Okay.
Okay. So then, we're good with everything except 7. Does that work for everybody?
You said accept 7?
Except 7.
Okay, and we're denying that.
Right.
Right, okay. I'm with you.
Okay. Are you good to move on, Karleen?
Yes, I am.
Okay. That'll bring us to item 8. Final decision by the Gilmer County Board of Commissioners considering the recommendation by the Gilmer County Planning Commission regarding the application for a 2022 River Outfitters license for LJ River Outfitters. Karen, everything's in order on that?
Yes, licensing, insurance information, fee, everything's in order.
Everything's in order, okay.
I'm good.
I'm good with that.
All right, thank you, Karleen. That will bring us to citizens wishing to speak. So anybody that would like to speak on any topic, do we have the clock? Yeah. And we're going to remind everybody that we now have a 10-minute limit on this. And when you hit your 10 minutes, you'll hear the most awful sound you can imagine. Probably a good idea. We're gonna move you again, Karleen.
Good morning. My name is Doug Brink, living at 1425 Talona Mountain Road, LJ, Georgia. You're back moving the lodging tax increase forward this week. I know there's a formal public hearing tomorrow. I need to be there for that, so I'll keep my comments brief today. I continue to feel like the lodging industry itself has been pretty much shut out of the process. You know, we're supposed to be partners in this. There was a focus group, but it was a chamber yesterday. You know, but we're 48 hours away from you guys potentially, you know, putting this thing into an ordinance. And we have grave concerns. One is the jump to 8% from 5%. Do an apples to apples comparison of cabin quotes from Fannin County and Gilmer County. Prospective guest is going to see 6% on the Fannin County side. It's going to see 8% on Gilmer side. It's the wrong message. We're in a downturn, what looks like the start of a downturn. We're seeing short-term rentals that were bought in the past 2 years already being put back for sale because there's no bookings in some of those cabins. Maybe the owners didn't know the market. Maybe they thought the pandemic aberration was going to continue forever. It hasn't. I've been watching the chamber's estimates of attendance, and it's like 10%, 12%, 15% some weekdays. That's not keeping your, you know, the motivation going here, the momentum for this tax. I just think we're making a short-sighted move here. It's a money. I know the county has eyes on where that money can go, and I'm not saying, you know, these aren't valid things to spend it on. We in the lodging industry do have some ideas. We'd like to have a seat at the table when it comes time to spend some of that money to help our promotion, because we're competing with now Pickens. It has a nice mountainous area, 5% lodging tax. Union County, 5%. Fannin County, 6%. I mean, when this started, we were all told that, you know, this was, everybody was going to 8%. Didn't happen, only here in Gilmer. So this is a concern. The other concerns, you guys are probably going to go ahead and ask, you know, I get that, and I appreciate the dialogue that we've had. The other concern the lodging industry has is this, how it's collected, being collected upon occupancy. Many of us already have a bunch of bookings in place. You know, some don't have any, but others of us do. And to expect us to go back to the guests and go contrary to our contract puts us at risk of offending the guests and having them just cancel outright and say, well, I'll just go to Blue Ridge for 6% or Fannin County for 6% instead of feeding the greed down in Gilmer at 8%. You're changing my, your word's not good. You made a contract with me, you're breaking your word on that. If we reach into our pockets and pay it ourselves, the difference, it can become a sizable amount of money out of an individual cabin owner. You know, not everybody's making money on their short-term rentals. I know everybody likes to talk about what the gross figure is, what the building is on a short-term rental. There's a heck of a lot of overhead that nobody ever talks about. Cleaning, upkeep, utilities, furnishings. You know, 2-bedroom cabin, you could spend $15,000 to $20,000 just furnishing a 2-bedroom cabin. That's the kind of overhead you don't see in a long-term rental. So, you know, we have concerns. The Chamber of Commerce did a focus group yesterday. The major cabin companies were there. They're expressing the same concerns that I have since January. We're going to scare off or offend our customer base or our already booked people unless we can grandfather in the bookings that are already there. And if they're partially paid, grandfather the whole amount in. That's the way the state did it when it put in the 5% excise tax for transportation last year. And there were no hiccups, no complaints. It was rather painless. But to come back and expect us to rebuild or to absorb 3%, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt in lost bookings, or it's going to hurt in lost revenue to cabin owners. And when the commission started this process last year, we were told this won't be coming out of the pockets of cabin owners. So let's try and hold to that. You know, it won't break me, but it might break some others. We're, again, in a time when my wife and I go to dinner in downtown Allijay, I can't remember the last time we had to wait for a seat. It's busy, but it's not real busy. So there's signs all over, and it's not just here, it's in Fannin County too. The Fannin County Chamber put out an advisory. Don't panic yet to the cabin owners. You know, I think our chamber's doing some things to get a better handle and better research who our visitors are and what they do and what they come for. So there's some way some of this could be delayed until we really get a better handle on this. That'd be great. But at this late juncture, I guess all I'm asking at this point is that we hold back and not penalize the people who have invested in short-term rentals in Gilmer County by making them absorb a tax they're not supposed to have to pay. So, I appreciate your time, and again, it's been a very cordial discussion over the months, and I do appreciate your consideration.
Thank you, Dad. David, can we not word this such that we start or collecting this with reservations made after the date, effective date?
Say that again.
Can we word our change here such that the taxes is effective for reservations made after the effective date of the change rather than reservations made before then for dates after that?
If you're going to do it on reservations, I'd say it ought to be, we've been talking about this for a long time, so everybody knew it was coming, and you'd think that when a reservation is made, the tax would be stated as an estimate, and this could be changed. So I think if you do it on reservations, it ought to be a reservation made before March 1st, so because it's not something that just new happened. I don't. It'd be hard to police, but I'm going to go with something like that.
She may wish to address the board, and then I'll follow up with a response.
I would. My name is Kathy Chris. I'm with Sliding Rock Cabins, and we know the tax is coming. The big thing is, if you booked a cabin in June, and this tax starts in August, and we have to now go back to the booking in June and say, I'm sorry, but we need 3% more. Is that guest gonna be happy with Allijay, Gilmer, or us? Not at all. We take a chance of losing the reservation, and that affects restaurants, apple orchards, everything, grocery stores, our employees. It affects the whole works. And as far as the 3% goes, I do believe it's written that we don't have to do a full 3%. Maybe we do 1% this year. Next year, maybe add the extra 1%, do it in stages. That's a hefty tax increase for anybody, especially since we just got finished doing the $5 a night tax for reservations. And it's just a lot. It's in prices on everything. All our supplies, our workers, it's all gone up. And the rents, we're seeing a decline. We're also seeing a nightly rent decline across the board. So looking at numbers from 2021 and 2020 are not realistic numbers. It's we call it COVID numbers because everybody felt safe coming to a cabin. People are now starting to cruise and fly, and they've got other options. So I don't see us having another 2021. I think we're going to see pre-COVID numbers for the next couple of years, and probably even less if we get into a recession. So that's my take on this, and I hope you guys at least, if you are doing the taxes, do not start it until we actually get a booking on the day the tax goes into effect, and not make us go back and change a contract with existing customers. Thank you. Chris.
I have one more, because Mr. Parker brought it up. I don't feel it's proper to collect presumptuous tax. I have no problem if you guys had put this on the books in March 1st to begin July 1st, having begun to phase it in. But we don't even have a start date for this yet. But for June 1st, July 1st, August 1st, collecting a random figure from our guests looks to an outsider perhaps somewhat sketchy. If you had this on the books, if you had a written ordinance, you only got the governor's signature last week, I think, maybe the week before. So there is no authority for me as a cabin owner to collect a tax that doesn't exist. So if you're going to talk about doing it and rolling forward, go from the date you actually approve your ordinance. Maybe we could work with that. Those bookings have not been made yet because your ordinance is not in place yet. So that's really, you know, I just don't think it's right for you to expect us to collect a tax that does not exist. It will exist soon, but it's not there yet.
And maybe I can help with some response there is that the Secretary of State or the Attorney General's opinion that you provided, the term uses is paid. And I think that what we'll have to do and define and look at is bookings that are reserved are different than bookings that are paid in advance, okay? Or that's simply a reservation. I don't know that it would be fair to other lodging businesses if you made a reservation today or even in a few weeks for a very high demand period of time. That happens a lot. I know that a lot of us will leave an event and no sooner than we've left the event we'll make the reservation for the following year. And I can see that occurring here in the county because we have peak demand, being the Apple Festival. What the county can't allow to happen is for you to take bookings today by reservations for Apple Festivals 2, 3, 4 years from now and not have the collection of that additional 3% tax. However, like I said, it highlights, it doesn't highlight, but it specifically addresses the term paid. I can see where if somebody pays you completely in full today and it's a non-refundable payment, then that tax would be based on 3% because that's been paid, and the timing of it is it's been paid under an ordinance that collects for 5%. However, if somebody simply makes a reservation and puts a deposit down and then comes in after the ordinance has been adopted and passed and then expects the county not to collect the entirety of the 8%, I don't think that's going to, and again, I haven't finished all my research on it, and I'll be advising the board on it, but I think in that situation, the lodging operator is going to have to collect the full 8% because it was simply a reservation and not a prepaid booking. Is that, are you following?
I'm following what you're saying, but the reality is somewhere between the two examples you give. The reality is when you make a booking, customarily half of it's paid at the time of the booking. Now, these are all refundable or cancelable, usually within some say 14 days, some say 30 days of the booking. But when when the state put in the excise tax last year, if the booking was made prior to the July 1st start, and it was substantially paid prior to the July 1st start, the tax was not due on bookings post July 1st. And I think that was a good example. Now, if only a reservation was made in June, and the payment was made at the end of the booking or after July 1st, the tax was there. And I agree with that. You know, and again, if you give us a tax, that's an ordinance, it's on the books in Gilmer County, out looking 2 months ahead, we can begin collecting the tax on future bookings. But for the past, however months this has been discussed, it's all been very ambiguous. It's been set not by your schedule or my schedule, but by the governor's schedule, the state legislative schedule. And it's just real hard for us to go back and have to renegotiate this, or to eat, thousands of dollars. For some cabinets, it's just going to be $1,000 or more.
And Mr. Rink, that's where I would beg to differ with you, is you're using the ambiguity of this, but I think this board set that will in motion many months ago, and had instructed the county attorney as well to begin the process. So that it's not an unknown that we've just began to present as a tax. It's been in the works for some period of time.
But we've had no public notice of a start date for the tax. There's always a possibility the board would have changed its mind, phased in the tax. You're asking me to act as if something has been put into law when it has not been done. So yeah, no notice has been sent to those of us collecting the tax. Those of us holding business licenses have not been given. I've not received any kind of notice to be aware. It's not been published on the county website. It's not been published in the Times Courier that we are responsible for collecting this tax in advance.
Okay, let me clarify something to make sure I understood what you said a while ago. You said, if, for example, if it was a September date, you wouldn't have any problem.
If it was a fan put theirs in effect, and there are people who give me different opinions.
No, let's talk to just us.
Well,
I'm not fanning.
September would put us into having bookings for peak season, which is our October and November leaf season, and our holidays of Christmas and Thanksgiving, and the first half of the New Year's holiday. So that's, again, there's a lot of high dollar bookings in that range. Fannin went on January 1st. But January 1st would be, if you're going to do it the way you're talking about doing it, very few cabin entities have bookings that are maxed out in January, February, March. It's not until really late March, April, spring break season that things come back alive again. Very few bookings are done years in advance. We occasionally get one done when a guest wraps up a visit and wants to rebook the following year. But those are usually like Valentine's Day, and very specific, and those are not usually long-term stays as well. Those are Valentine's, couples weekend kind of things. But again, I've been following this. Some of our even larger cabin rental management agencies are kind of being caught by surprise at this, because they had the assumption that bookings made prior would be handled like the state excise tax was last year. It wouldn't be a problem. All of a sudden they're realizing, oh, there might be a problem. Probably need my 10 minutes or more. Thank you for your time.
And I'm Sandra Parrish, rank 1425 to London Mountain Road, LJ. I handle all the bookings. We have 20 bookings from now until the end of the year. And as Doug said, we could probably absorb that. There are a lot of cabin owners right now who can't. To your point, I covered the bill that passed this year and last year's $5 tax. That bill was brought up early in the session, but it didn't pass and didn't go into effect until July 1st. So there's no way we could have collected that $5 night tax until it went into effect. So your point to that, I don't think is valid.
David, are we talking about what has to be in terms of the paid thing? In other words, are we saying there is no option for that?
As the board, y'all can create whatever option you'd like to do. Just the material that was provided to me, it uses the term paid. I think you really need to explore these scenarios that are being presented. Let's say you don't implement it until January 1st. Does that mean that somebody that makes a booking on December the 1st for a week on April 23, are they going to be responsible for paying the 5% or the 8%?
Well, I think the key to that is that regardless of when it's effective, we have to determine when the reservations would be accountable for it.
I think if you were to delay it January 1st, then you wouldn't worry about reservation, you would collect it. Everybody has enough time then to say, and most of the time I make a reservation, it says estimated tax. It doesn't, and I would have thought people would have been saying that on their information now, because they've been knowing that we considered this, have been considering it.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Doug, can I ask you, on a typical rental, one of your typical rentals, and I'm not going to ask you for your rates or anything like that, but on a 3-day stay, on a typical rental, what does that extra 3% represent to you?
She may be better able to answer than me. I will wait till I use the microphone.
So I did a calculation just of a booking we had this summer that recently that I took. It was about $40 difference, just on 3 nights.
That 3% is $40.
Yes. And we have 20 bookings, and that's just a 3-night stay. We have some week-long bookings coming up. And to the point, I don't put estimated tax. I enter a contract with these people. They sign it. And there's no estimated tax on a tax that doesn't exist yet. I mean, I quote them what the tax is right now. They sign that contract, and they can hold me to it as much as I can hold them to it.
If this became effective with reservations made beginning next Sunday, would that,
Next Sunday?
just to pick the beginning of a week, let's just say next Sunday, if we were to say that this 3% is effective for any reservations made from Sunday's date forward,
I wouldn't have a problem with that if this reservation is made at a date certain, and I can tell the guests, this is what your tax is going to be when you come.
okay?
The problem is the 20 I already have, having to go back and tell them.
But this would alleviate that.
It would alleviate that.
It's well publicized so that the short-term rental community, the rental agencies know this. I don't know how you're going to get Airbnb or VRBO.
Yeah, that's another question.
They know. They were almost impossible to get to collect the lodging tax in the first place. A lot of stumbling is that maybe it's a smoothed out process. I'll also say that we have a very specific cabin market we focus to. Our cabins are small. We're 2-bedroom, 1 bath, 1 bedroom, 1 bath. We focus toward couples, clientele for the most part, very small families. So our rates and our quotes are not typical. If you talk to Blue Sky or Mountain Oasis, you're going to find they've got nightly rates much higher than ours, and they collect much more than we do. We're the little guys in a lot of ways, number of cabins and size of cabins. But you got your more elaborate cabins in Kusawagi or some of the other communities, and they're going to be a lot more than our $40 that we'd have to use.
If, and I'm just putting forth a potential scenario here, if we say that the tax is effective for reservations made from whatever Sunday's date forward, and we advertise in the Times Courier to that effect, and getting with the other, the professional ones, have to do that however we can. But we advertise it the best we can. We make it effective for the reservations beginning next Sunday. Would that alleviate the problems that everybody has?
Will your ordinance be in effect by next, I mean, not the implementation date, but will you have an ordinance by next?
We will not, so the ordinance would have to go back. But, you know, and you know, maybe that's something we have to talk about in terms of how to do the ordinance. But what I'm asking you is, I'm feeding off of what y'all are
If you're giving
saying.
me legal notice that I'm going to be held accountable, and you're giving me sufficient legal notice, I need to be collecting this. You've just about, you erased a lot of my concerns, I'll put it that way.
And that's what,
You know,
okay.
I would hope that others perhaps show up at tomorrow's public hearing, and we can bounce that idea off.
well, right now, it's just an idea of
Right.
mine. I haven't discussed this with the post commissioners or anything.
Because we have discussed this, and it's, but again, it's not just Doug and Sandy here. I mean, the chamber had a focus group yesterday, and we had, I think, I know Blue Sky was there, I believe Mountain Oasis was represented. Mountain, Escape the Blue Ridge, Sliding Rock, as you heard from Kathy.
We anticipated, probably represented about 1,000 cabins yesterday.
So, you know, these are 1,000, and again, these are 1,000 owners. Maybe some of them have 3 or 4 cabins, but, you know, it's a very wide range. Some are Gilmer residents, some are from out of state, some are from Atlanta. So it's hard to get the word out to these people. But if you begin to advertise it in a concrete fashion with a real, true start date, it helps, in my mind, erase some of the uncertainty and ambiguity of it.
Okay.
It would be based on the reservation date as opposed to the occupancy date.
On the reservation date's what we're saying.
Yes. I would be very happy.
Because the reservation date's where the issue is, right?
Correct. That's when we enter the contract with the guests.
Right. Okay, let us kick that around then. I just wanted to see if that would solve the issue that y'all have. Okay. One thing that I would say is, and Hubert, I appreciate your comments that, you know, I know people have known this was coming. I would like to get this put in place with the least amount of grief possible.
Sure.
And if we can say, just pick a date and say, okay, with reservations after this date, expect to pay it. And that takes away their 20 reservation problem and so forth. You know, it would be something that I would personally would favor. That would, I don't think it would cost the county a whole lot of money.
Give it, when you move forward along the lines that the chairman is suggesting, give us a hard date, you know, when that election changes.
We should be able to do that tomorrow night, shouldn't we?
Yes, if y'all are in agreement as to whenever the hard date will be.
I think that would be whatever's first available day, given when the ordinance can be done.
We need that implementation date as well as the
So,
change in election.
so once we get the hard date, reservations that are made prior to that, with the stay prior to that, 5%. Reservations that are made after that, with a stay prior to that, after the Sunday date, with a stay prior to the hard date, still 5%. Does that make sense?
Say that again.
Okay. If we pick Sunday, for instance,
Right.
it's the date. Reservations that are made after Sunday for a stay beginning before the hard date of the 8% tax would still be at 5%.
Sure, because it's not
Because it's
effective.
not effective yet. But reservations made after Sunday for a stay after the hard date would be 8%.
If you're giving us Sunday as a day, I don't know if we're going to be able to get VRBO or Airbnb on board that, but he's just saying.
I'm just picking a date.
Okay, yeah. That, if it's a realistic time and if the word gets out, we're not unwilling to work on this.
Right.
We're not trying, you know, take a fight. I think we know.
Well, and we don't want to cause y'all a lot of pain, you know.
And there's a lot of owners out there who are really just saying they haven't had a booking in a month and a half.
Yeah.
tourism industry here. Definitely from what we've seen during the COVID bubble, but also, you know, I think some people have been coming up here the past year, maybe tired of LJ and Blue Ridge, and are going to take a break and go on a cruise this year. Russia may keep some of our people from going to Europe like they had planned. But gasoline prices may keep some of our Floridians from coming back 2 or 3 times like they do some seasons. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is that something that we can discuss?
Yes, yes, and you can either discuss it now or when the agenda item comes up. Karleen, she's been texting, she's not been able to hear quite everything, so maybe bring the phone back and y'all either engage now or engage later. But I do think y'all need to discuss it.
Were you able to hear what was going on? Okay.
Yes, unfortunately, I did not hear.
Well,
That Charlie had barely what we were saying.
okay. The issue is people who have made reservations ahead of time expecting it to be 5%, not 8%. That it could cause an issue if you go back and tell these folks it's changed now.
Right.
What I had asked was if we pick a date, a specific date, and I'm not talking about going way out, I mean either next Sunday or maybe a week after that, or you know, something fairly soon. We pick that date and we say reservations made after that date for a stay after the effective date of the change will pay 8%. But reservations made prior to that date would still pay 5%. That would take away the issue of these folks who have pending reservations that they thought would be made at 5%, and at the same time give us a date certain that all reservations going forward would be at 8%. What would be your opinion on that?
I have to say that the state has a set precedent of how they handle, because they've obviously changed this tax quite a bit, so I didn't know if there was a...
As I understand it, it's up to whatever we decide to implement it.
Okay. I'm fine with that. I like the idea of it not being too far out. I don't think, from what I heard, I understand the larger cabin rental companies don't have an issue with this, and I certainly understand the smaller cabin owners being more concerned. So I'm good with that, as long as the date's not too far out, and then that's making it too complicated for our staff. I don't think it's, well, anyway, or Sandy would know how many that we're talking about.
I can't pull up a calendar on my phone and talk at the same time. I was looking for a date.
Tomorrow night. No, that'd be a good date.
Tomorrow night?
Yes, we got a public hearing, that'd be a good time to announce it.
Oh, no, I'm talking about a date to make it the cutoff for the reservations. Like I had thrown out Sunday, but.
Well, maybe the 12th, that'd be tomorrow. Why wouldn't that work?
Sunday would be the 15th.
It will work, but we had mentioned that we would advertise it for these folks too, though, if they don't know about it by then.
Well, do we think people are going to hear this date and all of a sudden rush and make reservations before that date? Do we think that's going to happen?
No, but I don't think that's the issue. The issue is people who already made reservations and now they're going to be charged more than what they thought they were going to be charged.
But if it's made before tomorrow night, we said it's the old policy, the old 5%. So whatever date we select, why couldn't we go ahead and?
We can. Their point was that a lot of people don't know about it. We need to advertise it. But, you know, I'm open to compromise, and if it's tomorrow night, it's tomorrow night. It still would solve their problem, I think.
You know, the problem you have with this too is some people want to skirt it.
always.
the reservation problem. Okay, then let's pick a date, whatever date you want.
Well, why don't we just say it's coming Sunday? That's.
Let's do it on a legal day.
Okay.
May 15th.
Let's do the 16th, make it a legal day.
That's my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
That doesn't give us time to advertise, so.
I would not encourage you to advertise it. The state doesn't advertise.
Requirement, it was just a request.
I still don't think I would get into the mechanics of beginning to advertise tax increases and things, because the state doesn't do it. I mean, the state goes through the rules committee and all the hearings and everything. That's where the public has the opportunity to be afforded the opportunity. If you want to notify the public, I think your website is sufficient, Charlie.
Well, we can do that.
Yeah.
So what's Sunday's date?
15th.
15th, so 16th work for you?
For me.
Okay, so.
Now, then let's talk about the effective date of the tax.
Okay. Well, we'll do second reader tomorrow night. June will be.
Do the first reading tomorrow night.
First reader, I'm sorry. June will be when we can finalize it.
Yeah, that would be final adoption.
So if it's adopted in June, when will it be?
I think that it's going to be eligible for collection either the 1st of July or the 1st of August. I'll have to go back and confirm that, and I will for y'all.
Can we know that tomorrow night?
Yes. Either way, though.
He's saying that he thinks that if it's finalized in June, that we could begin either 1st of July or 1st of August.
Somewhere.
And he's going to figure out which one and let us know tomorrow night.
Okay, sounds good.
I think we probably better go beyond August 1, don't you? Beyond July 1.
I would say beyond July 1 because that's going to be
First
the
of August.
week after the thing. So if August 1 is something we're certain would be okay, we could say August 1st.
Yeah, you'd be comfortable with August.
July is a very popular travel month.
You could actually delay it until September the 1st so that you catch in the first 2 weeks of before school is a lot of schools in above the Mason-Dixon line, don't report back for later. So maybe September the 1st. Now, we really should make inquiry of Sandy. What's easiest for you? I mean, how are those reports? Are those reports monthly that you receive? So it's not a quarterly report then. So we wouldn't be a mid-quarter.
I would think August would be sufficient. What about you, Karleen?
I'm fine with that. July is our second most traveled month, usually after October. I'm fine with whatever y'all decide.
Okay. Well, doing all this is going to cost the county a little bit of money, but I think in the overall scheme of things, it's not going to be a tremendous amount. And once it's all in place going forward, it'll be a moot point anyway, so.
I agree.
So what that'll mean is that reservations that are in place at this point in time, there won't be any subsequent tax increase. Then reservations that are made after the May 16th date that are for a time period that is before August the 1st will still be remaining under the 5%. However, those reservations after May the 16th that are for a period after August the 1st will be subject to the 8%. Is that
correct?
Is that clear?
Okay. What we're saying is we'll make the effective date August 1st. The date that we were talking about when I was just throwing out Sunday has just kind of become Monday, which would be May the 16th. So what we're saying is that reservations made before May the 16th will be 5%. Reservations made on or after May the 16th for a stay beginning prior to August 1st will still be at 5%. Reservations made on or after May the 16th for a stay beginning on or after August 1st would then be at the 8%. It's the same thing we talked about up here, except that we just kind of changed the dates around. It actually gives an extra month, more than what y'all were anticipating, before it starts. So,
I still know that is enough time for half an hour.
well, there's going to have to be some compromise here. You know, we're trying to make it as painless for you as we can, but, you know, it's going to have to be a two-sided thing.
I think most, at least now, the rental companies are in the loop.
Right.
And I don't think they really were a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, you know, may see some of them show up tomorrow night, so. But again, the chamber's also opened up a line of communication on this, which would help in communicating this to its membership who are
Right.
in this business.
Yeah.
The VRBO and the Airbnb is who you need to contact, because they are very much likely not to do it.
Well, and we're going to have to do that no matter when or, I mean, it's, however we decided to do that, we're going to have to contact them. So, okay.
I could not hear of that was just sent, but I'm fine with what you said, Charlie, August 1st.
Okay. And that's basically where we are.
Okay.
All right. Are we ready to move on? Anybody else? Anybody else for citizens wishing to stay? Let's go. Okay. Appointment of a member to the Kids Cottage Board. Merle Naylor is willing to serve again.
I'm fine with that.
And I'm good with that. Karleen, you good with that? Okay. Discussion and possible action of a memorandum of agreement with Georgia Northwestern Technical College. Andrew, you want to fill us in on that?
Charlie, who is filling this in?
Andrew Burnett.
Okay.
Andrew Burnett here. Yes, this is an agreement for, talk loud, okay, sorry. This is an agreement with Northwest Technical College, so their EMT and paramedic students can come ride along on our trucks to get their clinical experience needed for their certifications. It's something we've done in the past with other colleges, and we've actually got a couple of our employees that are enrolled in this school, so it would allow them to do clinicals here versus having to travel other places to do clinicals that are required for them.
David, I believe you've looked at this already.
Yes.
Everything's okay?
Yes.
Personally, I'm fine with it.
Question I have, are we going to be talking about dental assisting? Well,
No.
then I think the agreement needs to be a little more specific. We got practical nursing, radiologic technology. You know, it's not very clear to me what we're going. What you said is clear. This is not clear.
Yeah, they cover it for all their health and human services.
I understand, but they ought to tailor it to us too. I think that needs to be changed.
Yeah, yes, and I didn't address the specifics of the scope of the work, as I didn't realize what was being done, but yes, Hubert's right. If some of this is included and it isn't going to be something that y'all are assisting with, it really needs to be stricken from the wording there.
I would take it down to just for the EMS and paramedics. Or the emergency medicine.
Is that the only schooling that y'all accept students from?
Yeah, that's the only thing that we're going to be.
I'm sure this is standard for them, but I think we need to be more specific.
Okay, so.
So that would only be emergency medical technician then that the college would be providing students for. Is that right?
Yes.
EMT, okay. I'm fine with those.
They shouldn't object to us taking out what we're not going to use anyway. Nothing else will change.
Yeah, I can get with them today and have them change that, and send over another copy of it,
Okay.
and I'll forward it over for y'all.
Okay. Anything else?
Thank you.
Okay. Karleen? Karleen, did you get that?
I didn't get any of that.
Okay. All right. The agreement is for their students to ride along with the EMTs to get that portion of their training. And Hubert made the point that the contract goes a lot further than EMT training, dental assisting, all that stuff. So we will be asking them to just remove all that extraneous stuff and just include EMT, nothing else will change. And with that, personally, I'm good. I think
Sure.
it's okay.
Sure.
So what about you?
That's fantastic. No, I guess Chief Hoffman and Gilmer is on the up and up and good with all this. So I love the fact that all that's good.
Yeah, I think nothing's being taken out that will change anything in the way they operate, so Chief Hoffman should be good with it.
Yes, I've already spoken with him, he's good with it.
Okay, you're good, you already spoken to him.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Discussion and possible action on rural fire defense agreement. A memorandum of understanding including the Georgia Forestry Commission and fire departments in Georgia. This is, I think we're required to sign this annually, aren't we? We have some equipment that belongs to them. And, basically, it just says it's their equipment. Right. We'll take care of it. So, any questions or now? Discussion and possible action on budget amendments. I don't think we really have to make budget amendments tomorrow night, but there are some things coming that at some point we're going to have to address budget-wise. And I wanted to bring some of those things up. Some are things that I think are unavoidable, other things are recent requests. In the category of recent requests, I just got this yesterday. Haven't had an opportunity to send it out, but I'll send it out to everybody email today. The Historical Society has requested that we again allocate for, well, annually, the $3,000 for utilities. One of the things that was mentioned in this letter is that they had noticed that there was a retired ambulance that was parked next to their building with an extension cord going into the basement, plugged in using electricity from the Tabor house, which is true. That started about 2 or 3 days ago. It's the coroner's, I don't know a real polite way to say this, but it's the vehicle that he will transport bodies with. And the electrical cord is there's an automatic battery charger in it that keeps batteries charged. It should be really very, very minimal in terms of cost. This was kind of an emergency situation that we had. We had to move it from where it was, and we had to find a place we could plug it in. And we did that and didn't ask them about it. It is a county building, so we can do that, but they pay the utilities. So they mentioned that, and they're saying, the last paragraph, with this in mind, we're asking for the county to help support the museum by continuing to put the Tabor House on the county's annual budget in the amount of $3,000, as was requested in March of 2021. Although this amount was requested on an annual basis, it was limited to a one-time effort. As I read this, I don't see that there's any kind of an amendment we would have to make. Basically, it's a request that, as I see it, that we put the $3,000 back in the 23 budget, which would be something we'd have to talk about at the budget time.
It's in the 22 budget.
No, we put it in the 22 budget.
I thought it was in 21.
Was it 21? I thought it was 22. Okay, well then she is asking for, I thought it was 22 budget. Okay, so there would be, if we decide to do that, then there would be an amendment to be made. So, y'all can kind of, I'll send this email, I'll just let it out to y'all email tomorrow, and then y'all can.
Charlie, I did get it.
Did you?
Yeah, Hubert.
Oh, did you get it?
Well,
Oh, okay.
I haven't opened it. I saw one of them.
Well, it did have y'all's name on it, but I didn't know if it was if it actually got
what?
in.
I'm sorry, I think it was in mail in my mailbox.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. So did I understand correctly that it was in it was in our 21 and we put it in 2022 budget? Or no?
No, I was thinking that we had put it in our 22 budget, but it was the 21 budget. So
Okay.
what they're asking is that it be placed in the 22 budget with a budget amendment.
Gotcha.
Okay. We need any more on that right now?
Yeah, I will just say, I'd like to see that happen. You know, we've been very gracious with some of our other folks due to COVID, and I think Tabor and that historical society is really taking a hit with COVID. So I'd like to see it happen personally.
I'm fine with it if they don't charge us for the electricity.
We'll make that a stipulation. Okay.
That's peanuts.
Okay. The other thing, of course, pickleball lights. We have sources, funds that we can utilize to pay for those, but we all need to agree on how that's going to work.
I thought we funded it.
I was thinking that we had two, but apparently
It was in, if I remember correctly, it was in the budget. Pre-COVID.
we funded it, and I thought we had brought it over, but it looks like we didn't bring it over.
Did it, I think, that's the case, I think we just need to bring that over to 2022. Because it's been funded in the last couple of years, but there was a delay in getting it in and that kind of thing, so I think we just have to hold that money back forward.
And we have the funding, we can do that. We just need to do it.
Oh, I can't believe we did it and didn't have it budgeted.
Sorry, Shane. I'm not hearing any of this.
Previous year, when it was supposed to have been done, and then got delayed.
Didn't that obligation come forward?
Not all that.
We were but actually, I thought it was budgeted. Because when I asked Gilmer about it, when we first started talking about it, what they budgeted, they didn't budget it.
Are you talking lights?
Yes.
Okay.
So, I think it's just that we carry over and we're not looking at anything more than what we're looking to spend anybody to look at this thing. We have to come about this.
Okay, I thought, bad assumption on my part, that what was on, what we committed to came forward. And it does in some cases.
It does in some cases.
So why it didn't in this case?
Well,
I think the problem in this case was that this was actually funding committed in the 2000 budget rather than the budget. Yeah, forward.
What amount is it, do you know?
73,000.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
We can go ahead and do that in tomorrow night.
We
Did
can
you
do
say
that.
that was 73,000?
Yes.
I was thinking around 50, but
No, it was actually, it was 73. Yeah.
okay.
whatever the budget previous.
We can do that. The other thing is the flood control dams. We will, now that we're finished with the course, we spoke for 16,000, but the difference
it to increase the road department, but increase the road department budget. Yeah. Okay, sure.
Okay,
And the funding source for that would be contingency. Flood control and, yeah, okay. Gotcha.
last thing would be the adoption of the hotel motel excise tax, which we discussed a fair amount tonight, so that's important.
August 1 would be the date to be inserted. I'm good.
Okay, David, you need executive session.
Brief, just brief.
All right, then I would make a motion that we go into executive session with no action anticipated.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, folks, thank you, we appreciate it.